Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 8.3 on dividing polynomials today. We are going to actually be doing just long division today. This should look familiar from Algebra 1 for you, but we'll be doing division of polynomials by monomials and long division today. And then in 8.4, we're going to do synthetic division. All right, so Ariana needed 140x squared plus 60x square inches of paper to make a book jacket 10x inches tall. In figuring the area she needed, she allowed for a front and back flap. If the spine of the book of the jacket is 2x inches and the front and back of the book jacket are 6x inches, how wide are the front and back flaps? So what we need to find is we're going to find this width here, right there, and right there. And we have all of our other dimensions and we have the full area that we need of paper. So what we're going to do is go ahead and find the area of the rectangles that we do know, and then it's going to help us find out how much we have left over to determine for each of the flaps. So we have 6x and 10x, so this becomes 60x squared. And we see the same thing here. So this is also 60x squared. And then we have 2x and 10x. And so this becomes 20x squared. And now that is going to be the area that we do know. We are now going to take our 140x squared plus 60x. So that's our total area. And we're going to subtract out the 3 that we have, 60x squared plus 20x squared plus another 60x squared. So this pulls in a little bit from yesterday's notes of 8.2 operations. So we have 140x squared plus 60x minus, let's go ahead and combine all these like terms because they all have the same variable to the same power. And so that becomes negative 140x squared. Now, if you look at our polynomial we have here, our 140x squared and our negative 140x squared cancel. So we have 60x left of area for this portion and this portion. So we are going to know that that is for 2 portions, so we're going to divide by 2. So each of those flaps is 30x in area. Okay, so if each of those flap is 30x in area, and we know that the length is 10x, we're going to take our 30x and divide by 10x. And that tells us that our width of that flap is 3 inches. So that was just a really simple like pull in from yesterday, do a little division of monomial and monomial right here at the end. So that introduces us to reminding ourselves how to divide a polynomial by a monomial. So divide each term in the polynomial by the monomial. So we're going to split it up. Go ahead and pause it here if you need to be able to write that down. And if you've got that written down, now you can go ahead. We're going to break this apart. 4x cubed divided by 4x plus, that comes from here, 8x divided by 4x. Minus 12x squared divided by 4x. So we're just going to break it up into 3 smaller problems and tackle them each individually. In my first one, I have 4 divided by 4, so those cancel. And then I have x cubed on top and x on bottom. So we talked about this in 8.1 with exponent powers, that we subtract them when we have a quotient, but really we like to think about which one has more, top or bottom. And in this case, it's our top, and it has 2 more. That's where our subtraction comes in. Plus, now we have 8 divided by 2. And so my brain was a step ahead. 8 divided by 4 gives us 2. And here our x's cancel. So we don't have an x. Mrs. Matheson was writing an x. And then we have our minus. And we have 12x squared divided by 4x. So 12 divided by 4 gives us a 3. X squared divided by x, which one has more? The top does, and we get just an x there. With something like this, since this is a nice and simple basic one, we can rewrite this in standard form. It's only one variable, super slick to do that. All right, let's go ahead and tackle our next one. This one has multiple variables. It's a little bit heavier duty for us. 16a to the 5th, b to the 3rd. Now we're going to split it up and have it divide by 8a to the 4th, b to the 3rd. Have your plus. Now we're going to do our middle term. 12a to the 3rd, b to the 4th, over 8a to the 4th, b to the 3rd. Now we're going to have our minus 20a to the a, b to the 5th, divided by 8a to the 4th, b to the 3rd. All right, so now we have it split. I'm going to have you pause the video here and simplify each individual term area, and then come back and let's compare answers. I'll have mine on the board. How did you guys do? 2a plus 4b over 3a minus 5b squared over 2a cubed. Now, this one, I'm not going to ask you to reorganize those terms because here it's going to be simpler to just leave it this. We have division going on. We have multiple variables. So this one we can leave in this form. All right, we got one more here, and actually I'm going to have you guys try this one all out on your own. So pause the video here, and then when you come back, I'll have my work all worked out for you. All right, so go ahead and take a look. When you simplify, we get here, this middle one. This one, it does have multiple variables, but because we don't have any division left in our answers, it's a little bit easier for us to rewrite it in standard form. And so I went ahead and did that here. We go alphabetical, our x first, then our 4y, and then our minus 5. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into some long division here. This is all of our absolute favorites. I know it. So let's start off by setting up our division problem. So our 2x minus 3 is going to be on the outside of our division sign. And then 2x cubed. You know what? Pause. I'm going to ask yourself right now. We had placeholders before. Do we have to put placeholder in here? No, we don't, because it goes x cubed, x squared, x, and then a constant. So we don't have to have placeholders here, but we do need to keep that in mind as we're going through these problems. Plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 15. All right, so let's go ahead and remind us how we do a long division problem. So looking, I have a 2x. And I want to make it into 2x cubed because our goal is to cancel those. So I have to times by x squared. So I'm going to write that up there. And when I multiply it, it has to go to both of my terms. So x squared times 2x gives me a 2x cubed. And then x squared times my negative 3 gives me a negative 6x squared. Very important thing that you need to remember is we have to put those in parentheses because we are subtracting them. Do you guys remember in 8.2 yesterday we talked about operations? We are subtracting both of them, so they have to go in parentheses. All right, so when we do that, our first two terms cancel. That's always our goal. And then our next one, we have 5x squared minus negative 6x squared. So 5 minus a negative turns into, pump the brakes. I wrote something incorrect there. Hopefully you all wrote in pencils. So we have a 3 and negative 3 and x squared turns into negative 3x squared, not negative 6x squared. I don't know what I was thinking. Let's try that again. 5x squared minus negative 3x squared. Minus a negative is going to turn into plus a positive. So we get 8x squared. We bring down our next term, so a minus 2x. All right, so I have 2x, and I need to make it into 8x squared. So I have to times it by a 4x. Just like we did the first round, we're going to multiply it times both terms. So 4x times 2x gives us 8x squared. 4x times negative 3 gives us a negative 12x. I did my multiplication right this time, guys. All right, we're going to throw a parentheses around that because we are subtracting. So our first terms cancel, always our goal. -2 minus -12x. And minus a negative is going to turn us into a plus positive. So we get 10x. And we bring down our -15. All right, lastly, I'm going to change my color to orange. All right, so I have 2x and I want it to be a 10x. So I need to multiply by a positive 5. I'm going to times 5 times 2x. So we get our 10x. And 5 times -3. So -15. And we put that into parentheses because we're subtracting. My first terms cancel. -15 minus -15, those also cancel. So we have no remainder. So that means our solution is our x squared plus 4x plus 5. All right. So let's go ahead and look here at problem 5. And so the first thing we want to ask ourselves to think about is, do we need a placeholder here? And in fact, we do. If you look right here, we are missing an x squared term. So let's set this up with our x plus 4 on the outside. 2x cubed. We're just going to put in a plus 0x squared, that placeholder. It's not changing the value of the problem, but it's allowing us to complete the problem. Plus 6x plus 152. All right, so now we have it set up. And I'm going to get you guys started. I have x squared and I want 2x cubed. So I need to multiply by a 2x squared. And I'm going to distribute to both of those. And I get a 2x cubed plus 8x squared. But I need to remember I have to put that in parentheses because I am subtracting. My first terms cancel. I get 0x squared minus 8x squared, and that is going to become -8x squared. And we're going to bring down our plus 6x. I have x, and I need to make it into -8x squared. So I'm going to multiply by -8x. And I'm going to pause, ask you guys to pause here and try finishing out the rest of the problem on your own. And then when you come back, you'll be able to see how I finished working out our problem. All right, so taking a look here, I finished distributing my -8x in, and I ended up with, just make sure you're watching in this portion, we had 6x minus -32. So that turned into a positive 38, brought down my 152. So I had x and I needed to multiply to make 38x. So I times by 38. And in this case, both my terms canceled. So I had no remainder again. And so 2x squared minus 8x plus 38 ends up being your solution. All right, we got a couple more going on here. This one, I look at it, I do not need a placeholder. So in this one, I want you guys to pause the video here and set the problem up. And then I want you to go ahead and solve it. When you come back, there's probably going to be something really important that we are going to talk about for this problem. All right, so I'll see you there. Pause the video. Okay, so take a look here. I'm not totally finished with this problem. I worked through it. I got 2x squared. I multiplied that. Then I had to multiply by an x and a -1. But I want to finish out this little bottom piece here. So the first two terms are going to cancel. The -3s are going to cancel. But here I get 1 minus -1. That turns into a 2. Now, back in middle school or elementary, when you first started learning division, you just made an R2. But we don't do that here. We are writing with a polynomial. And so this is a positive 2. So we're going to say plus 2. And then we're going to divide by 3x plus 1. So hopefully you remembered that from last year. So when we have a remainder, we put it over our divisor, what we're dividing by. Okay. All right, hopefully that went well for you. Let's go ahead and look at our last problem here. I want to set it up with you. We're going to put our 2x minus 3 on the outside. Now I do have some placeholder that I need to put in here. So 4x to the fourth plus 0x cubed. That negative stays with the 17x squared plus 14x minus 3. All right, so I'll do the first step with you, and then I want you guys to finish this one out. I have a 2x this time, so all the other times, all the other times we've had some different things too. So I'm going to times that by a 2x cubed here, and I need to distribute it into both of those. So 4x to the fourth minus 6x cubed. And I go ahead and I subtract. My first two terms cancel. And 0 minus negative 6 turns this into a positive 6x cubed. And we bring down our minus 17x squared. All right, so I'm going to let you guys finish it out from here. And then, so pause the video and then come back and see how we compare for our answers. All right, take a look here. We end up with 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. And that is where we ended. We didn't have a remainder for that one, so that was great. All right, make sure you check in if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you later.